Just wanted to make a quick video showing how to remove injectors from a 12 valve. This motor is a 95 model, and I've already taken the injectors out. I've got everything loose just to save time with the video and everything. But just wanted to run through everything, that way if anybody needs to do this, they'll have an idea what they need to go through to get the injectors out. So this motor is not in a vehicle, obviously, but all the same things are going to apply if the vehicle or if the motor was in a vehicle. So you're going to have to take the intercooler tubing off of the intake. Then you're going to have to take the intake off, and it's just these 5 10mm screws that hold this intake on. I'm trying to do this one-handed while I hold my camera here. And you probably want to disconnect the battery if it's in the vehicle, because this is for your heater grid, and there's a positive battery or positive voltage running to those. I'm not sure if that's gonna be on, if you know, to switch it on or whatever, but it's always safer just to go ahead and disconnect the battery. So you pull that intake off like that, and I usually just, they probably won't be in my way, so I'm just going to stick these back in here like that. The next thing you need to do is you need to take all these loose from the injector pump. Just crack them loose, spin them all off, make sure they're all completely disconnected. So we got that loose. The next thing, there's clamps right here that actually look like this right here, and they will be screwed right there. It is a whole lot easier if you do not disconnect all the injector lines from being in the group. You want to leave that clamp on, you want to leave that one on, and you want to leave that one connected, and this will keep you from having a spaghetti mess of injector lines. But if you will remove the clamp here and the clamp right there, I believe that's all of them, you can remove, and obviously you have to take all the nuts loose from the injectors. Like I said, the injectors are already out of this motor except for one, but you'll do it the same way. Make sure all the nuts are loose from all the injectors. Come on, I had this loose just so I can run through this video right quick, not take a whole lot of time. Try to wiggle this loose a little bit there. Okay, so then once you get all the injectors loose, or the injector nuts from the injectors loose, there's this one line here that feeds I believe it's a return line, but you can pop that off, disconnect it here, pop it out of the way, move it out of the way like so, and that way you can pull all your injector lines loose in a group and just sit them up out of the way. Now there's going to be a 10mm bolt for each injector that you have to take off. So you take that out, and you disconnect this right here, runs back to the top of the fuel filter housing. You disconnect that bolt right there, banjo bolt. Once that's loose, you can take this, sorry, there's a 10mm holding it down to the intake. Pop that loose, and you can set this whole return line up out of the way like that. And once you have that out of the way, you're going to need most likely you're going to need an injector puller. Some people do it without it. I just made one up. It's inexpensive to do. what I did was, this is a lug nut that has the same thread that is on the top of the injector. Now the second gen and the first gen injectors are going to have a different thread. I've got one for both my motors. I've serviced the injectors on all of them. But basically what you could do is you take a lug nut with that same thread and you get a longer bolt and a nut and a washer. And you can figure out the lengths. I can post it under the video. If somebody has a question about it, just feel free to ask. And I'll be happy to post that info. And you get yourself a piece of PVC pipe and you cut it the right distance. And then what you do is you slide that down inside of that. Okay? Like so. And you screw the whole assembly. You have to make sure you take that retaining nut off. And you have to do this with each injector, obviously. Like I said, these are already loose. I can pull it out by hand, but I wanted to show everybody how it works. And you'll replace, there's a square O-ring, or a square seal, round seal. It's square profile, round in shape. You pull that off. You take this and you screw the whole assembly down onto the injector as far as you can go with it. And then with a wrench, you take the nut and you tighten this. And it basically pulls that injector out. Just like so. Make sense? Now that we've got that done, I'm going to come over here and give you a quick run through of what you need to do. If I can get the camera set up here, what you need to do to disassemble the injectors. Now, sorry guys, ladies, guys. Let's see if you can see this right here. You have to forgive me. I'm not a videographer. So what you need to do, most all the injectors, these injectors are 15 millimeter and they're pretty tight together. It works better if you have a 6-point wrench. You take it like that. What I did to get them apart, I laid that down on the table like that and held it down with my hand, and then take this and then lean on that. They're pretty tight when you go to take them apart, but you don't want to bust your knuckles. So basically what you do is you take that loose right there, and the way I do it is I'll just hold my finger down on that and take this nut or cap loose while I'm still putting pressure on there, and slide that up and grab a hold of the injector nozzle. Take this piece off, and you want to make sure you're holding this over the table when you go to take it apart so you don't lose any parts. Okay, you have the injector nozzle, which has the needle inside. That comes apart, and then the rest of the injector, you have this centerpiece right here, and you need to make sure you put it back together the same way you took it apart. Okay? You see how you have 3 holes? When you put it back together, it all needs to line back up with the 2 pins and that hole on that piece. And that has to line back up with the 2-pin holes and the hole on the other half of the injector. Okay? And see how you have a recess? That recess is on the side of this little round piece here, side opposite the needle. See if this makes sense. The side that does not have the recess is for this side. The side with the recess fits over that little part right there. Okay? Now, you get that needle out, the nozzle, that centerpiece, and there's this little part here that fits over the spring. Let's see if I can pop this out. I've never done this on video before. So you pop this out. Now this piece, can you see that shape? That goes toward that center part that has the needle in it, and that side right there goes toward the spring, which I'm getting ready to take out of the injector body. Okay, that spring right there falls right out, and you need to be careful. This is key. Behind this spring there is most likely going to be shims. Most likely, I say most likely because all the injectors I've done have had shims. Sometimes there's one, sometimes there's two. You need to make sure you do your injectors one at a time, and you need to keep the parts for each individual injector with each individual injector body. Do not mix up spring shims for different injector bodies. That's what determines your pop-off number for your when you set your injectors to pop off. Now, the shim did not come out. Spring came out. Okay, what you can do is you can turn it up, tap it on the table. If that does not work, I used compressed air. Now, key to using compressed air. What I will do is I will hold my finger over the top and hold my finger over the bottom, and you can very gently introduce some compressed air to hit this. Do not shoot the washer out of your injector and lose it. Okay? I'm going to show you what I mean. And you just need to, if you blow a little bit, most likely what will happen is you will loosen up the fuel that's causing that washer to stick up in the injector. Try it this way. Okay, you probably couldn't see that, but I blew some air in there, tapped it on the table, and it fell out. Okay, and I always just do these individually. What I'll do is I'll keep the washer, the shim, the spring, and this piece out, and I will take these pieces right here, the injector body, the cap, the needle, the nozzle, and this centerpiece right here, soak them in some degreaser for about 30 minutes, whatever it takes. Take them out, blow them off, and then I will use some, like tonight I'm going to use gun cleaner. It needs to be very clean, okay? And once you do that, you make sure you have all your parts clean. Sometimes if your injectors are not working correctly, you can replace just the needle and the nozzle, okay? And you need to check your pop-off rate to make sure they're popping off at the correct bar, which is a pressure measurement. Okay, so once you've soaked it, cleaned it, blown it off, you reassemble. You have your injector body, take your shim, put your shim in, make sure it sits down flat in the bottom of that hole before you attempt to put your spring back in there. Okay? This one is sitting flat. Then you take your spring, insert your spring, then you take this piece, the little round tab sits in that spring. Okay? Now, what you need to make sure is, just like I said before, the side of this that has the recess goes toward the spring, and you need to make sure that that third hole lines up with the hole on the injector body. So you put that together like that, and I'll leave that like that. Take your needle and your seat after they've already been cleaned, which this one needs to be cleaned. Probably don't need to put this together until after I clean it. But anyway, you stick that together. Yeah, I'm not going to put that in there. I don't want to damage it. But you insert that in there, and when you go to put it together, you make sure that that third hole lines up with that hole right there. You put it together, hold it just like that, take this cap, stick it back over there, and you tighten it all up. Now normally if I had that needle clean, I would have put that in there, but this is just to show you how to take them apart and put them together. Okay? And you torque this to spec. And you have a serviced injector. Hope this helps. Please, if you enjoy this video and it appealed to you, don't forget to rate, like, and subscribe, and we will talk to you later.